Hey, good morning, friends. Everyone here in the studio, and you can leave that there. Yeah. And for those of you here on the stream, Stephanie and Beth, good morning, and others. The title of today's class was Klishta and Aklishta. So I just wanted to get my chai here. I see a little closer. So Klishta and Aklishta, Vritti. And so Klishta, that word itself means painful, and Aklishta means not painful or unpainful, and Vritti means thought modification. And there's this idea in the Yoga Sutras that we're producing either painful or non-painful thoughts. And I wanted to kind of unpack this a little bit because there's a kind of different layers to this. Hi, Maggie. The first layer is just at the, if you will, kind of at the, the workman's level of the human experience. And that's really simply negative or positive thought patterns. So there's just this prevailing idea that in yoga, that if we have a negative thought, if we're producing, possibly a painful thought, if you will. And I was considering this idea that, we're offered something to do, like, well, let's go do this, and your friends or something, comes up that way. The first thing that happens really in our mind, and this is because of our conditioned experience, is that we begin to evaluate whether that is a good idea or not. And that's going to happen 99.99% of the time. And that is based upon our conditioning. So immediately we're in this field where something is coming up, and we're evaluating its quality before we've even experienced it. And what happens is we're bringing our conditioning into that moment to make a judgment on whatever that may be. And what's happening in that moment is we are either attaching an attachment to that or an aversion to it. It's either like, yeah, I want to do that, or no, I don't want to do that. And that prospect of raga and devesha is what is called attachment and aversion, creates to build possibly negativity in the mind, even though it may be something that you have a vasana for, or vasana rather, a desire for. And this is all just happening on the human level. This isn't even happening, if you will, in a more refined, perceptive level of the spiritual mind. And I find that just absolutely fascinating. But then we get into this other plane of experience where we begin to sift through this idea of raga and devesha, attachment and aversion. And if we can refine our klishta and aklishta in that, in that field of positive and negative thought formation, it's actually when we're attaching to something, the potential to create a negative vritti is pretty high. And like, why would that be? That seems counterintuitive. And the reason is that when we attach, then we're binding our mind into the quality of that thing itself, and eventually that pleasurable desire, that vasana, will turn into something that binds the mind. And that's pain. One of, someone, I may have mentioned this in the past, but someone asked Babaji what was his highest realization. And he said, my highest realization was when I learned that pleasure was pain. And again, for the human experience, that may seem counterintuitive, but for the illuminated mind, the spiritual mind, the mind of, conscious evolution. Really what happens there then, though, is that that pleasurable vasana, that desire, binds into attachment, and eventually that creates a negative samskara, a binding element in our being. So then it's just like, how do we solve this, right? It's just like, that's a whole lot that makes a lot of sense, mind you, or, hopefully it will eventually. It doesn't right now. But then we say, how do we get out of that conundrum, if you will, of like trying to be in the human experience and having all of these potentialities come up and develop possibly negative thought patterns in our mind or painful experiences in our mind. And the solution is through the understanding of the three gunas, rajas, tamas, and sattva guna. If we're connecting to a more sattvic experience in the mind, then the karmic inclusion that's happening in that moment is kind of released. It's not abolished altogether, but it's more free than if it's rajasic or tamasic. And I think I've talked enough with y'all about the gunas that there should be some framework for that. So then we bring, then how do we then moment to moment access sattva guna? Well, that's bringing a still mind into the equation. So then we can perceive clearly, and in that clear perception, that's always laced with a sattvic energy to it. Instead of binding past experience and this vritti and that vritti into this situation, and this situation doesn't have anything to do with the past condition. Klishta and Aklishta vritti, painful and non-painful thoughts, allow then for the mind to be present, clear, unbound, in other words, sattvically oriented as we then engage in the world. That's the solution for the evolution of, the human consciousness, the evolution of the yoga, the yoga practitioner. And it's a lot, if you will, to be able to include. And so what I would say is our sanctuary is our practice. Like if we are engaging in our sadhana on a daily basis, then we're entering into this stream of humanity with some peace in our mind and some clarity. And then we're engaging in a more sattvic fabric, and rajas and tamas guna will float in. There will be negative thought patterns that develop in the mind. That's only normal, but being, transparent, being able to see when that happens, and being able to just step, back from it one little layer, if you will. So, and it can kind of come up in our asana practice too, where it's like, oh, I'm good at this, or I'm not good at that. It's all that self-talk that we, invariably engage in our asana practice, or we do something like, I don't like that. It's that kind of thing that is a perpetual stream of samskara reasserting itself in your mind, and it's, in a way, it's that thing that we need to kind of dissolve, if you will. We'll try and do that. That's all for Chine Chat. It may be a lot. I apologize. Next slide. Sarah's brought her family here. So, yeah, anyway, they're here in the room. And so we're going to do some some yoga today. So just get comfortable in your seated position if you aren't already. And let that be nice and stable. Be in your mind, if you will. And then begin to breathe into the belly. So we know this is the diaphragmatic breath that kind of resolves our sympathetic nervous system more. As you exhale, let the body just release and soften completely. Let it just be very light and free of the breath. Eyes closed if you're not already. And then consider the possibility of say a Klishta Vritti, not Aklishta, but Klishta Vritti. So the painful thought that's been produced in the mind. Here in the last number of days or something, or if there's been any pull, if there's been any kind of tension or conflict in the mind around any subject, it could be even, what's for dinner, it could literally be anything. And then inspect that for a moment to see maybe the source of that Klishta Vritti, the source of that painful thought, that negative thought. And then understand that we can, with self-empowerment, we can reformat that Vritti into a non-painful thought. And its transformation is just adding the aura of Sattva-guna, the aura of clarity and purity. The place in you that's not bound to the result. This place that's free, and this place that's peaceful, a place that's harmonious, that's accepting. Because for the yoga practitioner, that is the call, is that we absolutely have to up-level how we are and who we are. There's just no other way. Chant a couple of bones as an indication to our sadhana. Illuminating the Klishta Vritti with Sattva-guna, energy of transformation. Just chanting that self-breath here completely and more times, friends. Big inhale. One more time. Big So thanks so much for that, everyone. Appreciate your endurance here this morning with the seated position and conversation and things. Let's not just start in a tabletop position. So you come down forwards here, just unravel from your seated position, move any seated support things, that you may be on. And then just begin to stir the hips, so just a little circling of the hips, say in a clockwise fashion, and let the head become involved with stretching of the neck, any little movement. And again, that might feel good for the body here. And then as you move through this, please feel free to make any, good morning, Tammy. Any movements that just feel right for the body here. Kind of how we source, if you will, this more sattvic appeal in our life is to work through the energies of samatha. So we know that as equanimity. So reverse the direction of the circle if you haven't already, or otherwise. And it's really interesting, like in the asanas, we're always working with an asymmetrical, not always, but often an asymmetrical configuration of the body. And then we come into symmetry, if you will, and it's just that very simple idea of working side to side creates that aura of equanimity, that aura of samatha. So Vidalasana, cat-cow stretches here. So inhale, look up, let the belly drop, sits bones flare, and then exhale, round the back. So just a little flexion and extension of the spine. Just going to feel into that. So movement of Megru is what the yogis call the vertical column, not Megru. And then coming into a neutral position here, let the left hand plant under the face, and then inhale, sweep the right hand to the sky. Give the wrist a little bit of a spin, breathe very deeply here. Stay with deep breathing, a nice big inhale, and exhale, floating this right hand through. So thread the needle, shoulder and temple to the mat. The left hand reaches to the top edge of the mat. The hips can drift to the right to seal the twist. Along the length of the spine, take that. And then a nice big inhale here. And then exhale, the left hand back underneath to ground it. And then inhale, flow the right hand to the sky. And we'll switch this out when you're ready. So ground right hand gently. Look left, give the wrist a little bit of a spin. So this is how that asymmetry appears in our sana practice. Side big inhale. Floating left hand through on the inside right shoulder near to mat. Right hand reaches, hips drift to the left. So seal the twist along the length of the spine. Just breathe here. And then a nice big inhale. And then exhale that right hand back underneath to ground it. And then inhale, float the left hand to the sky. And then let's take the hands off the mat to the right side. The hips will stay lifted here. So a nice big inhale. And exhale, arcing into like a crescent moon shape with that left side body forehead towards the earth. And just breathe deeply. You can ground the left hand a little more firm. Back the outside of that left hip back a little bit to extend into the costals. You wish. And then gently inhale, float up to neutral. We'll switch this out. So hands off the mat to the left side. Same thing. Nice big inhale. Exhale, arcing into now the right side body, forehead towards the earth. Just breathing here. Nice, and then gently ground both hands here, firm, and I'll float up to neutral. So we're back in the tabletop, and then let's just do a little thing with this right shoulder. So turn the right palm up, and then inhale and exhale, sink into the right shoulder area, and that. Gently inhale, float up to neutral. Ground that sun, right hand, left palm turns up. Inhale, exhale, sinking into that left shoulder. And then gently in the foot out to neutral. I'm just going to spin around the fascial. From here, let's extend the right leg out to the right. It'll be off the mat here, obviously. And then a nice big inhale, and exhale with the hips drift back until we find a little contact stretch. And then let the elbows bend, and then just let the forearms kind of catch our balance. Kind of articulating the pubic bone back perpetually. Little anterior rotation of the pelvis, we know. It's pretty familiar in the practice, just feels illuminated to kind of access that deep muscle groups in the groin. And then inhale, come up to neutral. Not quite done though, so plant the left hand, then inhale, take the right hand to the sky, so another little twist here. And then bend that right elbow and just trap the shoulder blade onto the back. Now, and then inhale, reach the hand and arm to the sky. And as far forward as you can, land it on the fingertips. And then bend this left elbow again, just sink into the heart. Into that, yeah. And then gently inhale, foot up to neutral, so tabletop. So we end up and we'll switch this whole thing out. And so extend when you're ready, that left leg toes, point forward here, hips, drift back, and then elbows bend. Coming onto the forearms, and just breathing. One might add just like this idea of tenderness, to your practice. Moving tenderly, breathing tenderly, just like bring some, again, this aura, sattvic energy into the field. Ground hands again, twist, so right hand plants, left floats, reach, breathe deeply. And then left elbow to track shoulder blade onto the back here, going into that. And inhale, reach to the stars. Exhale, look, and as far forward in front of you as you can. Ground, fingertips, right elbow bends, heart sinks here. So how we pattern, if you will, might be one way to put it. How we do what we do is essential, I believe. Nice bring inhale, and exhale back into neutral position, so tabletop until we end up. And then from here, extend the right leg behind you, the toes tuck under, little stretch in the bottom of the foot, the calf and Achilles. Going into that. And then float the right leg hip height there. Just stay in this position here this morning. Take a nice big inhale, and then exhale, round the knee into the chest, give it a little squeeze in. And then inhale, leg behind you, and then bend the elbows a little bit, a couple of inches, and sink. Elbows kind of track towards one another so they don't open up, per se. And inhale, straighten the arms. And exhale, knee to chest, so squeeze that in. And then inhale, leg behind you. Exhale, bend elbows, sink. Inhale, straighten arms. Exhale, knee to chest, squeeze, and then release to neutral tabletop, and then switch. So left leg extends, toes tuck under, so a little warming up of the calf and Achilles, Then float. Now this left leg hip height, breathing. Nice big inhale. Then exhale, knee to chest, give it a little squeeze in. And then inhale, leg behind you. Exhale, bend elbows, sink. Inhale, straighten arms. Exhale, squeeze. Really just find your sweet, slow pacing. Inhale, leg behind you. Exhale, bend elbows, sink. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, round, and release to neutral, so tabletop. And then walk the knees on one little step behind the frame of the hips. We'll enter into Adho Mukha Svanasana. This is downward facing dog. So hips lift when you're ready. Just take a moment. You're just going to wiggle your way into the posture. Any movement, anything that kind of the body is intuitively kind of calling for to create some space and form is fine. By me, just going to feel your way all through that. So it seems like even in our asana practice, when it becomes more dynamic, if we can enter into the space with this kind of mind that's free of judgment, this more sattvikally oriented, samatha, equanimity, configured experience, then everything just flows, say, in a more dynamic way, in a more peaceful way. And so that Aklishta Vritti, the non-painful thoughts, begin to be like predominant or preeminent in the mind. We'll meet in child's pose here. So release to the knees, hips to the heels. And just take a moment in Balasana. Yeah. And then invariably in our asana practice, our edges are tempted. We know that the body can become challenged in things. And it's in those moments, how we respond to the experience is really that developing that, that Aklishta Vritti, that non-painful thought patterning, if you will. And then inhale, come to neutral. So tabletop, we'll meet back in Dharma with Svanasana. So down facing dog here. Take a moment, find the form, ground firmly the roots of the fingers, let the triceps straight towards the earth, so a little more anatomical, precision into the rotate the upper thighs, core tone. So find all that to really create some extension in the spine as well as a sense of being grounded in the form here. A moment for that. And then put a little bend in the right knee. And then ground the right hand and stretch left calf and Achilles, more dynamic way. And then straighten the right leg, we'll switch. So that left knee, ground left hand, right calf and Achilles stretches. A little pedaling between the two. Going into that, and wiggling on the hips. Just breathe deeply here. Yeah. And when there's, when the tension spins up in the pose, again, that's when we just pivot to equanimity as much as we can in the mind. And then gently walk the feet to the hands. So forward fold here, Uttanasana. You notice a little space in between the feet. Let the weight eventually kind of pivot towards the big toe down. The feet give the head a little bit of a stir eventually, yes and no. Let the neck release. Maybe grabbing opposite elbows, and just kind of feel into more traction of the spine. Sway of the torso. A little bit of movement reveals some more of the edges of the body. And then gently inhale, half lift here. So hands and chin, lengthen from tail to crown. The shoulders gently slide away from the ears so there's energy. Sustain the length of the front spine here. Big inhale. Exhale, lengthen out as you pull down. So chin touches and release. And again, inhale, half lift, hard up. Exhale, folding. Just moving peacefully and with ease. Grace, inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold here. And then put a little bit, send the left leg back into the lunge. And then release the left knee to the earth. You may want to double the mat over if that's tender, or grab a blanket or whatever may be close by. Your hands to the right shin or knee or thigh area, and then just pulse a little bit into this front leg knee, so a little bit of movement in the hips, opening up that left hip flexor, but deepening into the crease of that right hip, and then when you're ready, sink low, and then float the arms to the sky. Let the palms face forward here, and so just kind of feel into that. Just kind of like downward facing dog arms. Reach the arms up and back, so let the shoulder girdle absolutely lift as much as you can, like you're kind of hanging on a branch of a tree. And then with an inhale, bend the elbows, so cactus the arms here. Heart can just flourish, a nice big inhale. And exhale, pulse the forearms towards one another. And then inhale, sweep open. And exhale, pulse. Yeah, I'm going to do one more of these. Inhale, sweep open. Exhale, pulse. And then inhale, reach the hands and arms to the sky. And exhale, hands are paired and then twist to the right. So the left elbow is on the outside of my nearby. So you can armpit to knee, you can track the right shoulder away from the right ear and just breathe into the belly. And just breathe into the belly. Take a moment here. Yeah, and then nice big inhale. And exhale, gently release. Then twist your hands flat, and then inhale straight in front leg, pull the toes up, and then just bow and extend the legs. So a little sweet little stretch of that. Right and straight. Going into that. And then ground the right foot all the way up to the pads of the toes. So opening the top of the foot here just for a moment. And then bend that right knee, let the hands step forward here, plant them, and then open the right knee to the right. And let the action be up. So lift the heart, and that'll naturally descend the pelvis. And then ground left hand firm, flow right arm to the sky. So another sweet little twist here. And then possibly bend the left knee, catch your foot or ankle with that right hand. Heart is opening here. Breathe very deeply. Stay with the breath. And then a nice big inhale. And exhale, gently release the foot here if you have it. Right hand plants, inhale, breath. And then exhale, step back into high plank. Push up here. Just take a moment there. So the hips are lifting into this form to the place where the core tones, so belly button to the spine. You just kind of feel that firmness. I like to track this stance a little long. I talk about that all the time to relieve the pressure in the wrist here. Nice big inhale. And exhale to the knees. We go then all the way to the pelvis, the tummy, the chest, and then Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Look torso. Come on up, shoulders move away from the ears. Use the muscles back. Then exhale, float down. And then again, inhale, float up. Exhale, float down. And then one more of these, inhale, float up, tuck the back toes under. And exhale, lift the hips, Adho Mukha. So down dog. So again, the invitation is to pace one's practice. Just a little slow, mindful, really present, clear, if you will. No bend knees, and we'll send the left foot to the left hand here. So there's that lunge, but then we just gently release the right knee to the earth. Double mat, get a blanket, however it might be helpful for that patella. And then hands to the left knee or thigh here, and just pulse a little bit. So allow now that right hip flexor to get a little bit of love and a little deeper. Sink into that left hip crease. We can find. And then sink low in that suitable. And then float the hands and arms to the sky, palms face forward. And just reach the hands and arms up and back. And just let the shoulder girdle, again, totally lift here. And then with an inhale, cactus the arms. And then the elbows, track the elbows back, heart flourishes. And again, inhale, breath. And exhale, pulse forearms. And then inhale, sweep open. And exhale, pulse. And then one more of these, inhale, sweep open. Exhale, pulse. Then inhale, reach the stars. Oh, and then exhale, hands to prayer, twisting out to the left. So right elbow on the outside of the hip, I'm thinking on the knee. Left shoulder, away from the left ear, breathe into the belly. Just that alone makes this form so dynamic. Breathing into the belly in a twist. Yeah, change your world. Nice big inhale. And then exhale, release the twist, your hands plant. And then inhale, straight in front leg, toes pull up. And then exhale, bow the extended legs, so a little sweetness with the left hamstring. Take a moment for that. And then ground. Now the left foot all the way up to the pads of the toes. Opening the top of the foot likely here, and then a little bend of that left knee. The hands step forward, so we just kind of draw forward. Open the left knee to the left, and then lift the heart, and then actually sinks the pelvis. You discover, and then ground when you're ready. The right hand, and then inhale, float out of the left arm to the sky. So there's that twist, and then if you want here, you can bend now that right knee, capturing foot or ankle. Stay with the breath. Just open up here. Little quad stretch. Nice, and a big inhale. Next, so gently release the foot here, left hand plants, inhale, breath. Next, go back to the steps to the top of the mat, so forward fold here, Uttanasana. Again, so just take a moment. And then inhale, half lift. So Ardha Uttanasana, core stays toned. Cactus, the arms, little bend knees, flat back to standing, big happy hips, flat back to standing. And then just reach, we'll call. A little sway in the body. Just move in whatever way might just feel illuminating the body. Whatever feels kind of like sattvic and pure. Really, like add movement, but it always has like this supple quality. It's never forced, always just kind of illuminated. And then let the hands release down by the sides here. We'll scoop some air and some prana here, so inhale, float hands and arms to the sky. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward, and then inhale, half lift. And exhale, fold, send now the right leg back into lunge, different iteration. This time we'll float up with the torso and the arms. So the Vajrasana we come into, crescent form, so just reach it. Back heel, let it lift as much as you can and reach as tall as you can. So a lot of opening in the right hip flexor, big inhale. And then exhale, sweep the arms behind you here. Give the shoulders a little bit of a roll, and then interlace the hands behind you, and then lift the hands and arms just a little bit. So articulate down the shoulder blades, down the back. And just breathe very deeply into the top chest. Stay with the breath, keep the hands and arms kind of energetically lifting here, and then exhale the breath completely, and then inhale, float hands and arms to the sky, so reach real tall. And then very gently, exhale, float all the way out of it. The hands can plant, step back, high plank, high push-up. Nourish the body with deep breathing here. Yeah. And so as the body has a little more activity in it, a little more rajasic energy from our sadhana practice, continue to kind of pivot into just equanimity in the mind, harmonious thinking here. Big inhale, exhale to the knees, again to the belly. Bhujangasana, Cobra pose. Yeah. And then once again, float on up with an inhale, maybe a little higher pitch this time. Go into that. And then take a nice big inhale. Next, I'll look over the right shoulder. Just stay here and breathe deeply. So very deep breathing. So then a nice big inhale. And exhale to neutral. And then look over the left shoulder and just breathe very deeply here. Like the experience that you find some space on the right side of the iliac crest. And then a nice big inhale. And then exhale back to neutral. Float the torso, forehead down. We'll keep working this a little bit. So inhale, float on up. And exhale, float down. And then again, inhale, float on up, but then hold the breath in. So inhale, hold the breath. And gently exhale, float down. 2 more times. Inhale, float on up, hold the breath. Lightly exhale, float down. And then 1 more of these. Inhale, float on up, hold the breath. Tuck the back toes under and exhale, lift the hips down. Breathe deeply. Nourish the body with breath. Ground the roots of the fingers, straighten triceps towards the earth. And then we'll bend the knees and then step down the right foot to the right hand up. And then once again, we'll put the torso forward arms. Take a moment to kind of find this heel lifting, arms reach. When you're ready, stay with the breath. And then a nice big inhale, reach real tall. And exhale, float the hands and arms behind you. Once again, give those shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then interlace the hands behind you. And then lift the arms. And then pivot the shoulders away from the earth, so shoulder blades down the back. Breathe very deeply. Keep lifting the arms energetically. Stay with the breath. Yes. And then exhale the breath completely. And then inhale, put hands and arms to the sky, so reach. And then exhale, back to steps forward, Uttanasana. So fold on top of the mat here. Take a moment. Again, nourishing the body with breath. And then inhale, half lift, pause, hands to chins. Then put them in knees, cactus, arms flat back to standing. Reach the hands and arms over the head. Again, put a little sway in the body. Stay with the breath. And then from this position here, bring the hands to, say, the low back or the backs of the legs. Wherever your arms kind of land on the body, keep the core active. We're going to come into a standing back bend posture. So keep the core active, begin to kind of move into a back bend, squeezing the shoulder blades towards one another, but then lengthening through the crown of the head with a little tuck of the chin. So there's a lot of structure in the body here. And then as, say, one deepens into the form, you can walk the hands down the legs a little more. Just stay with the breath. Keep the core, again, slightly active, so belly to the spine. Breathing deeply. Stay with the breath. And then gently, when you're ready, and we'll put hands and arms to the sky. And exhale, slowly put the hands and arms to the sides here. Put a little bend in the knees, close the eyes, just take a moment and just feel. Breathe deeply. Continue to nourish the body with breath. And just a little bend in the knees and just slide the hands down the legs. Just ease it into a forward fold. Great rows here. Really tender for the low back. And then inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold the knees, send legs back in the high plank push up. And then 8 points down, Asana. Inhale, breath. Exhale to knees, chest, shin, hips stay lifted. And then inhale, go forward into upward facing dog, quads activate, core is firm. And then lifting the hips into downward facing dog. Yeah, and then inhale, float the right leg behind you. Then right foot, right hand. So warrior one, pivot, left foot down, Virabhadrasana one. You know this foot, hands and arms over the head, so inhale, reach. Exhale, float the hands behind you, and then lace the fingers. Inhale, lengthen from spine, so go tall. And exhale, bow the torso on the inside, this right leg, hands and arms over the head. Stay with the breath and just sink here. Breathing. And exhale the breath completely. Then inhale, float up and out of it, so hands and arms reach to the sky. And then exhale, gently float all the way out, hands plant, step back, push up, inhale, breath here. Exhale, 8 points down, Asana. Inhale, go forward, over, up dog. And then exhale, lift the hips, down dog. Yeah, nice. Inhale, left leg behind you. Warrior one, exhale, so left foot, right hand, Virabhadrasana one. Forward up, inhale, arms reach. And exhale, float the hands and arms behind you. And release the fingers. Inhale, extend. And exhale, bow torso on the inside of this right leg, hands and arms. Fold the head, stay with the breath here. And then exhale, you're breathing completely. Then inhale, float all the way up and out of it. Reach to the sky. And then exhale, float all the way out of it. Hands plant, step back. Same thing. High plank, push up. Inhale, breath. Exhale, Asana. 8 points. Inhale, upward bow. Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So down dog. Just breathe here. Nourish the body. And then Balasana, so child's pose. So knees to go, hips to the heels. Take a moment. Let the body soften here. Klishta Vritti, non-painful thoughts. Just always allowing the aura, if you will, of Sattva to prevail in the being in some way. And when it doesn't, pivot to it. Pivot to clarity. Pivot to equanimity. Gently moving back into down dog. So with the breath, inhale, tabletop. And exhale, Ardha Uttanasana, down dog. And then Virabhadrasana 2, word 2. So bend the knees, right footsteps, right hand, left heel hips down. So come standing. Take a moment. Find your form. Virabhadrasana 2. Core is going to be active here. A little squeeze of the inner thighs. We know. Both hands and arms, shoulder height when you're ready. Stay with the breath. And then turn the palms up. And Babaji said one time, he said that we make the world a problem by our desires. And he said when we remove desires, the world is as light as a feather. Exhale the breath. And then inhale, straighten front leg, reach hands and arms overhead. And exhale, bend front leg, knee. Inhale, straighten, reach, so it's light as a feather. Exhale, bend. One more. Inhale, reach. And exhale, bend. And then sinking deep, so extend this angle, Prabhakonasana. So right forearm, right thigh, and just float this left arm overhead. Let the heart spin open around the back foot, and really extend through that left hand. Then straighten the right arm towards the earth. And just sink a little deeper. Take a moment for that. And then the left hand to the sacrum, the palm is down, the heart keeps spinning open here. Stay with the breath. And then Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, look down, step the back foot in, plant the front hand in front of the front foot, and inhale straight the front leg and lift the back leg. So Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. Stay with your breathing, really engage that. Lifted leg if you want, bending the left knee, catching for her ankle with the left hand. A little stretch of the quad and kick. The foot into the hand. Breathe here. As light as a feather. Yeah, and then a couple bend in the stand leg knee. Release back into Virabhadrasana 2. So just rotate your way back into warrior 2. Hands and arms float. Inhale, breath. Exhale, hands to waist. Inhale, straighten the front leg and then pivot this right foot in, left foot turns open, so 180 turn on the mat. Warrior 2 again. So bend in the front leg knee. Hands and arms both shoulder height. And ready, palms turn up. Stay with the breath. Yeah, and that's fine when you're ready. Inhale, straighten front leg, reach arms overhead. So as light as a feather. Free of vasana, free of desire, free of aversion. Just continue moving and breathing in this fashion. And this last one, we'll sink here a little deeper and then extend this angle, Prabhakonasana, left forearm, left thigh, right arm over the head. Just reach, stay with the breath. And then straighten and sink a little deeper into it. And then bring the hand, overhead hand to the sacrum. Stay with the breath. Heart keeps spinning open. Then Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, step the back foot in, plant the front hand in front of the front foot, and then go straight front leg, lift the back leg. Stay with the breath. Open the arm if you choose. Then bending that top leg, knee to leg, capturing the ankle. Stay with the breath here. And then a careful bend on the stand leg knee. Release the back foot down. Go to. So we'll meet here. Nice big inhale. Exhale, hands to the waist, and straight front leg, and just pivot that foot in, so wide legged ankle forward, fold, inhale, breath. And then exhale, hand hips fold forward. Hands can release, head releases here. Nice, and then inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands to the waist, and then inhale, flat back to standing. And then just pivot the foot to the top of the mat with me. Just take a minute here, a little wiggle. Move into that. And then we'll come into Garudasana, so eagle form here. So put the weight into the right leg and just float the left leg up, find your balance, little wobbles are fine. And then the left leg tracks over the right, maybe wrap around the calf or not. It can be just an anatomical, capacity, capability. And then both hands and arms shoulder height, and then the left arm under the right. So squeeze forearms, palms come together. Just breathe. Then sink a little deeper into the standing leg, and then when you're ready, hinge at the hips here. Just fold that, breathe. And then in a float up halfway, we're not done. Send that left leg behind you. So warrior eagle, so warrior three, and eagle arms, stay with the breath. And then we'll reestablish the wraps like a fulcrum, both the torso and the leg. It can be a little challenging, realize, breathe. And then the hands float down and the leg floats up. And then airplane pose, so just sweep that left leg behind you, arms by the side here, breathe. Stay with the breath. And then hands to prayer, and gently float the torso, and release the leg down. And then another little wiggle. And I appreciate that. And then work the weight into the left leg. And maybe we do this all at once, if you will. So float that right leg in the arms, feeling into that. And then the right leg over left, right arm under left. So wrapping forearms, palms, find a cat. Possibly just squeeze everything here. And then standing like knee, hinge at the hips. Stay with the breath. Breathe deeply. And then come up a little bit, send that right leg behind you. So warrior eagle, breathe in. Okay. And then gently, like a fulcrum, torso floats, reestablish the wrap. Now breathe in here. And then the hands down, and the leg up. So here. And then airplane pose, so just sweep the leg behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades towards one another. Breathe in. And then hands to prayer. Go back to neutral. And then gently release the leg down. And then put a little wiggle. Hands down by the sides. Breathe deeply here, friends. And gently let the weight work into the right leg here. Float the left leg up in a figure four. Hands to prayer. Again, the sink in the standing leg knee, and then at some point draw the hip bone back. Yeah, just tilt forward, just mindful with the hip here. That's really all we're doing. Hands maybe to the shin floor block. You choose. Stay with the breath. Awesome. And then gently inhale, float up halfway again, not quite done. So let the hands release down and float the knee and the leg again. So just push the floor away. Then reach hands and arms to the sky. And then a 45-degree angle with the leg, and then just gently float the foot back and reach as tall as you can with that foot. And just a little bit of movement side to side. And then hands to prayer. And then work the weight now into this left leg, float right, so figure four. Again, take a moment. Then we bend, and then at some point draw the hip bone back. And keep the toes spread of the right foot, so a little energy, and you sink deeper into the hip. Choosing earth or block, shin. Breathing. Loveliness, and then I'll float up just halfway, and then the hands again reach down, and the knee floats. So just strength and balance here. Equanimity in the mind can sustain this really well. Just reach 45 degrees, and then float the leg back, reach the tall. Put a little extension, and then take a moment here, lift the hands, and again, arms go to the side, a little bit underneath eyes. And close. Again, stay with me, exhale the breath completely, and then take a nice big inhale, and hold the breath in. And slowly exhale. And we'll meet in Malasana, so squatting the garment pose, toes open, toes in, mindful hips, knees as you come down your hands to prayer. Block into the pelvis can be super helpful here. And then, samatha, just pivoting to equanimity. Klishta Vritti. Klishta Vritti. And then gently release the hands to the hips to the wrist as well. So you just come on down. Just take a moment, hips a little bit of reprieve. And then send the left leg out long, float the right foot above and over, and that left leg grounded. And then sit nice and tall. Yes, core is going to be active here. And then left elbow crease into the right knee sweep to the right arm behind you, twisting to the right. In other words, keep the toes spread of the left foot. Swing into that. Then maybe float this left arm over the right leg and hook it. That's the capacity. Again, some of this is just anatomical. And then a little deeper, you can straighten this left arm and hook it on the shin. And then deeper still would be where the thumb turns down, and the elbow bends, and it hooks on the knee, and then the arm goes behind for a bind. There can be a lot. Just take the breath. And then gently we'll release out of this, and then this great counter twist will pivot all the way around, come onto the hands, and then come onto the forearms here. Just breathe into the belly. Now breathe into the belly. Ah. And gently walk the hands towards the pelvis here to come out of it. So extend that right leg will switch. So then left knee floated up and over. And then lengthen the spine, so sit nice and tall. And just notice what happens when we do that. Shoulders move down the back. We squeeze the muscles of the back together and hold them. And then right elbow crease left knee, left arm sweeps behind you, twisting to the left. And just breathe here. Same with the breath. And again, breathing into the belly and a twist will change the world. And possibly float the right arm up and over that left leg and choose in a deeper form. Maybe straighten that right arm. Same breath. And find on this side as well. Thumb turns down, elbows bend, and release. Breathe. And gently soften out of the twist here. Then we'll spin all the way around. First ground on the hands and make your way eventually to the forearms. And just breathe into the belly. Yay. Just medicine flowing through the body. Good time. And then gently walk the hands towards the pelvis. So there's that symmetry to symmetry. So extend this left leg, Dandasana first. So hands stacked on the shoulders, extend the spine tall, head the arm bones drift back. So the broadness in the upper chest exists. Then both the hands and arms to the sky. Reach with Pashti, Bhujanasana, and exhale, just float the core of the way down so there's contact of the hamstrings. And then just float out of it. Inhale. Exhale, float down. Float up. Exhale, float down. And then pause here, bring the hands to the shins, and instead of going down, go up and forward. So stay spread. You're kind of grounding the hand of the femur bones into the pelvis and pulling the body forward. Very slowly. The hamstrings are kind of like glaciers sometimes. They just take a long time to release. And that's really the beauty of it. But then there's space that's created, and you slowly just sink a little deeper as the body is elongated in the form, essentially. And then inhale, you're breathing. And exhale, now drape the ribs over the thighs. The head can release, the hands can begin to reach towards the feet. And just breathe, breathe there. I'm staying a little bit active, so the quads are active, and a little energy in the legs to support lengthening the hamstrings and the back of the body. Continue to kind of reach forward in the forearm versus just down, so kind of lift the heart towards the feet energetically. We're always kind of moving forward. And then tone the core, belly to the spine, and gently walk the hands up the legs to come out of it. So we go from stretching to strengthening. That's always be a tender moment. So Baddha Konasana, so that means soles and feet together, just track the heels towards the pelvis. And then lengthen the front spine again, so sit tall. And as you do so, feel a little energy to draw the knees towards the earth. Just breathe here. Always samatha, always equanimity, kind of like creating this climate for Aklishta Vritti, for non-painful thinking. Babaji said at one point that our sadhana practice, one of its purposes and results is to release all of the negative thought pattern in your mind. All the rajasic and tamasic patterning. And gently soften here, drawing these towards one another. You'll squeeze. Then I'll ask you all to spin around 180 degrees on your mat, so your heads are at the top of the mat, and then gently make your way to your back here. There's no great feats of strength necessary. A little stretch, arms over the head, just reach long, long, long. Maybe point, flex the feet a little bit. Yeah, and then we know this is bridge pose or setu asana. So bend the knees, the feet are flat here, and then gently ground the feet, lift the hips, kind of wiggle the shoulder blades underneath you, but externally rotating the upper arm bones. Then interlace the fingers and continue to ascend the hips. The chin is lifting, but more you just want a natural curve of the cervical spine. So kind of navigate that. It feels like the neck is extended. Just lift the chin, put that curve in there. Keep grounding the feet and keep lifting the hips. And then at some point when it feels like the hips are fully lifted, the knees are tracking towards one another just a little bit, then bring the belly button to the spine and just hold it there. And then lift the hips higher. Breathe. And then stay with me here. Lift the heels. Release the arms long over the head. Keep the pubic bone lifting as you release the spine from the neck all the way through the length of the back. Eventually the hips land, and then the hips land. The heels can land. And then once again, just open the knees here. So Supta Pada Konasana. Recline down, angle, right hand belly, left hand heart. Just let go. And then what happens in that aura of samatha, that aura of sattva, then witness awareness develops. So we're not engaging in like prescribed patterning or conditioning of thought by previous experience, and we're just watching everything just flow by. Witness awareness. And then gently here we'll track the knees towards one another. You can be using the hands on outside the legs for support. Squeeze the knees to the chest. Little rock side to side. So a little massage of the spine. And then the feet to the earth, the width of the mat, wide arms, T or cactus position. And then just gently float the knees side to side. The gaze goes the opposite direction with the knees go. So again, the feet are the width of the mat, wide here. Just a little bit of movement. And then let the knees rest on the left side. So the next time to the left, gaze to the right. Just take a moment there and breathe. Let the body soften into the earth. And then gently float to neutral and then switching out to knees. Again. And gently float the knees back up. Squeeze and last time here. And then Vritti Karani Mudra. We know this is reverse posture seal. Legs up the wall. Kind of a half shoulder stand. So ground hands. Lift the feet, legs, hips. Hands will go back. Sinking the hips into the hands. Upper arms, elbows. And again, the body is in a V shape. Always kind of condition the cervical spine with a curvature so the chin can lift if it's the neck is elongated here. Eyes closed if that's comfortable for you. Aklishta Vritti, non-painful thoughts. And then gently float out of this, little bend the knees, release the hips from the hands, hands curved, slowly float hips to the earth, hug on. And then extend the legs when you're ready. So our pre-Shavasana breath retention practice. So legs extend, feet open, palms turn out by the sides. Exhale, you're breathing completely here, and then take a nice big inhale. And hold the breath in and just wait on it. Silently exhale. Do one more look for our cue as pooch. Out the belly as we hold the breath. So exhale completely. And then take a nice big inhale. Hold the breath in. Pooch out the belly. Silently exhale. Carry this right into Shavasana. Of course, or if you need to make any adjustments for comfort, please do so. In Shavasana, there's an aura of life energy that's surrounding you and also within you. Its origin is from the very beginnings of the universe. Its purpose is the maintenance and the sustaining qualities of life. Embedded within this fabric is awareness, peace, imprint of the divine. Awakening into witness awareness. Observing the quality of mind. You may recognize, say, a stable perception of clarity, almost an emptiness. Almost a sense of lightness, of joy, even, and freedom of mind, freedom of unconditioned experience. Gently let the breath lengthen into the belly, into the belly. Still very peaceful, light orientation. Allow the body to begin to move some, to reintegrate to the form. Stretch the arms over the head here as wide. Again, your knees to the chest. We'll end up on the left side for a moment. And gently make your way to the seated position here. And take a moment and establish the asana, this seat. Preparing for about another 20 minutes of practice here. Pranayama practice and meditation Pushing over sadhana. Just allow the seated position to become very stable and at the same time sense of samadhi, sense of sukham or ease, equanimity. Continue to kind of create this very stable construct in the inner part of our being. We'll do Nadishwaram. We know this as an air cleansing practice, or the workman's name is alternate nostril breathing. So just bringing the right hand to the face when you're ready, folding the index finger, middle finger into the palm of the hand, elbow lifts, hand is brought to the face. So teach just the first one, so close the right nostril with the thumb and with a full yoga breath, so belly expands, ribs, chest full. Inhale to the left nostril, pause for a moment, and then lift the thumb, take the ring finger and close now the left nostril. And gently exhale through the right nostril. And then when you're ready, full yoga breath through the right nostril, so belly expands, again, ribs expand, chest lift expands. Full breath in, pause, lift ring finger and take the thumb and close now the right nostril and exhale to the left. That constitutes one round of Namaskaram, your cleansing practice. I'll join you. Now just continue to practice on your own. Breathing very fluidly and deeply, both on the inhale and exhale. Focus on the practice here. Listen carefully here by exhaling out from the left nostril and think around that you're on, so cycle through and birds here. So the next practice, think around. Next practice is the inverse of Loma Pranayama, which means reverse breathing, but with an inverse stack. And so the technique is to do a full yogic breath on an inhale, so full breath in, and then step the breath out in 5 releases. It'll be like exhale for 2 or 3 counts, and then stop the breath and wait for 2 or 3 counts, and then exhale again for 2 or 3 counts, stop again. And so 5 pauses and 5 releases. And after you completely empty the breath, wait at the bottom, and then begin the next round as you do a full yogic breath on the inhale. So again, Loma Pranayama, inverted, essentially. Full breath in, yogic breath. 5 steps out and 5 pauses. Again, ready. Don't get too hung up if the sequence of the exhalations are a little bit off. There's 5 breath releases, a kumbhaka breath suspension at the bottom of the last exhale. Just kind of push the breath a little bit. And cycle through here. So end of the next exhalation, and complete this practice, releasing the breath from modification entirely. The accompanying breath being rhythmic, belly breath here. Nervous system return to a deep sense of ease. Eyes stay closed. In the sadhana of the yogi, we're always invited to the practice of dharana, the practice of concentration. There can be a tendency to wrap that concentration in a more rajasic energy, an energy of doing, say, versus the energy of being. Allow for the inner drishti, the inner awareness to ascend into the Zeta chakra, Agnya chakra. We know its inner location is approximately 4 fingerlets deep inside the brain from the front of the forehead at the level of the eyebrows. One can even roll the eyes up inside the head, and as you inhale, lift the pranic energy in the breath behind the frontal lobe and into the center of the brain. And then as you exhale, let the pranic energy expand in the chakra. But all the while, with directed awareness into the chakra and bringing the breath there, it's in the harmony of a sense of beingness versus a sense of doingness. A sense of allowing for the energy to ascend into the chakra. One can add so hum, so as one inhales and hum as you exhale to complete the meditation, chakra, mantra, breath awareness. One may even invite the divine to guide the sadhana internally. very gently lift that mantra, the focus of the chakra, just let it subside. And let awareness become aware of awareness. Peace. And then for a moment, visualize Shanti, Manspapaya Shanti, Vishvadeva Shanti, Brahma Shanti, Sarvam Shanti, Shanti Shanti, Sama Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Great Spirit, may there be peace in the heavens, may there be peace in the sky, may there be peace on earth, peace in the water, may there be peace in the plants, peace in the trees, may there be peace in the gods, in the absolute God, and all of nature, let there be peace. May this everlasting peace be ours. Only peace, peace, peace. Great Spirit, may we be guided to Aklishta Vritti, to non-painful thoughts, and may give us that strength to come to our sadhana with this purposeful self-illumination, self-transformation. Sharing gratitude for the opportunity to practice with one another, to community, and to yoga, to the teachings of yoga and their brilliance. Namaste. Hands on the screen. Thank you very much for being here, of course. And you're very welcome, all of you. And always remember to love, peace, deep bow, stepping, namaste, and welcome. Love, peace, friends.